These are the red soil hills of Innisfail's hinterland, in the heart of Queensland's wet tropics. It's our stop today on the Virtual Bus Tour to see how CANEGROWERS is helping farmers make the switch to precision agriculture through sharing resources. This Kurumba district is home to the Cheki family, who've been here for 3 generations. They have a reputation as early adopters of new technology and introduced GPS to their farms in 2007. Today, Paul Cheki is preparing a block for planting. The Ripper tines are following the same lines where the fallow soybean crop grew, and the cane crop is being planted along these same exact rows to an accuracy of just over 2 centimetres.
Before, in the early days when there was no GPS or no zonal, you'd have to deep rip the whole block because you didn't have a set run line or a set row spacing, so it was a lot more hit and miss, if you like. But you had to work up the whole block, use more fuel, use more time, more wages, everything like that. Now with the GPS and the zonal ripper, you're confident that once you rip the block, your planter will exactly run where it's deep ripped. That goes for compaction issues and all that sort of stuff. You're doing multiple things with one pass, so that's a big benefit even with fuel, time, everything.
Deep ripping of the red clay soil reduces compaction in the growing zone. That means plant roots can reach deeper into the soil profile. Zonal ripping also creates a sump that holds water and allows the cane to take up nutrients more easily when it's applied subsurface. It's great for the plant, and it reduces the risk of water and nutrients running off into waterways. Once the plant zone is deep ripped, the soil won't be broken up further with conventional ploughing. That means less fine tilth or sediment can be lost in storm runoff.
Our conventional way of planning's changed, so it's all going back to zonal and less passes and less disturbance of the soil. So we're just doing it in zonal pretty much, and only doing what we have to do to get the plant cane in the ground. And then in our return canes, with the GPS and the rows and everything being nice and even and that, we get better placement of our fertiliser through our steel splitters. The cane's taking up the nutrient a lot quicker and a lot better, and we're not feeding grass and weeds as much.
This precision farming system relies on a combination of GPS satellites and a base station with an antenna on the roof of the machinery shed to give it accuracy. On the tractor's bonnet, a GPS antenna communicates with satellites, while a roof-mounted radio antenna contacts the base station. In the cabin, a computer calculates the position of the tractor to a 2.5 centimetre accuracy. And with the help of an automated steering kit, essentially, the tractor steers itself.
The machine knows where the outside of the paddocks are, and it'll give you an area of the block, and it'll have AB lines in it, and they're pretty much just your rows, and your row spacing's where they are. Basically, you just line your tractor up on one of your AB lines, and you press engage with the steering kit button here, and away it goes. It'll follow the AB line.
The Cheki family's GPS base station is now linked into a network of community-based stations that stretch from East Palmerston in the west to Marillion Harbour in the east and south to the Silkwood district. It's a CANEGROWERS Innisfail initiative, encouraging growers to make the switch to precision farming while reducing setup costs. Chairman Joe Morano has one of the base stations on his new Harbourline farm. The rooftop antenna ideally positioned to communicate over a wide area. The project originally had assistance from the federal government's Reef Rescue program, and years later is doing exactly what it set out to do, giving growers a hand up to precision farming.
Takes out a fair proportion of cost out of it. If everyone had their own base station, it adds another 15, 20, 25 grand to the equation, but by having a network of base stations, you remove that cost. For a grower to get into GPS, and I'm not saying it's a cheap exercise, you're looking rounds of $30,000 to put a GPS on a tractor. But at least it took out the 20 grand for the base station, and the base station is what gives it the 2.5 centimetre accuracy.
The Moranos began switching to a controlled traffic system in 2014. It's an ongoing process to get all their 380 hectares of cane land under the same controlled traffic row spacing. So far, it's delivered slight increases in tonnage that may be linked to reduced soil compaction. But only time will tell what difference precision farming makes to boosting productivity and reducing farm runoff.
GPS has helped, for recording, not only make straight rows, but for recording information, when you're fertilising and stuff like that. But have I made an extra $1 million because I got GPS? No. I'd like to think somewhere that we get some payback down the track. I'm hopeful one day that we are more profitable. It's a long journey. People like to see results overnight. This is a long-term project and the results won't be overnight.
As they wait for the longer-term gains, cane growers know in the short term they're doing their best to farm sustainably. Precision farming fits into a best management practice approach, consistent with the soil health and nutrient management module of SmartCane BMP.
I think farming's changed a lot in the last few years particularly. Everyone's trying 100% to do what they can to minimise our footprint. There's been a lot of improvements and it's a 24/7 job. Like, everyone goes out all the time, even in the wet weather, to see how they can improve things, and it's come a long way. I think a lot of people don't know about how far we've come and the improvements we've made.
The introduction of GPS mapping is leading growers like the Checky family down another path of on-farm innovation. It's allowing them to identify and mark out specific areas for targeted herbicide application. This is an agricultural spray drone, the DJI MG1S octocopter, that carries a 10-litre payload of herbicide. It's another cane growers Innisfail shared resource that is available to members to help them tackle hard-to-reach vine infestations. Cane growers, along with Queensland's Department of Agriculture and Fisheries South Johnston Research Facility, is undertaking a 3-year field trial of the remote piloted aircraft. It's being overseen by Senior Development Officer Marcus Bulstrode.
And this machine is reasonably smart. It's able to go out and, with a series of radars, be able to lock onto the top of the crop, and then it can negotiate its way to where we've actually identified a patch of vine, and then it can spray that targeted vine, but only that area. So instead of having to spray a much larger area across the block, we can actually target, just in some cases, just a few square metres to take that vine out.
Vines can be a nightmare for cane growers. Seeds can lie dormant for several seasons and then spring up when a grower least expects it. Red convolvulus can get away quickly in the wet season when there's plenty of moisture and heat. At that point, an aerial attack is the only option.
The vine's either left in the cane once the cane becomes out of hand, so too big to be able to get ground-based equipment on. The vine would be left to, unfortunately, seed and produce further plants in the future, and in many cases damage the cane crop. Or if it's at a stage where there's enough of it across a block, they'll get a fixed-wing aircraft in, or perhaps a helicopter at a reasonable expense, and then typically spray quite a large area. But this machine allows us to come in and simply spray the vine itself directly on top of it, a very small area, a minimal use of herbicide within the paddock.
Building a better industry is all about being open to new ideas. And Cane Growers is here to help with new technology that can boost productivity and make farming more sustainable.
We just like to look after our members and try and help support them in any way we can. We value their membership, and we got some young growers coming along, and we want there to be an industry for them. My grandfather and my father, they farmed cane, and they left us an industry, and all the forebears before them and me, they left us an industry, and it's up to us to leave an industry, hopefully, for the future generations.